Alright there, welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin and welcome to volume 2 of British Steel. This is where I talk about British albums that are a little less obvious and I think could do with a bit more recognition. So last week we started off with Stamping Grounds carved from Empty Words, and today we are looking at the classic, unfortunately one and done album, Pulkas. Greed. I'll start like I did last time and sort of how I came into the band and sort of where I stood in it all. Unfortunately, I just missed Pulkas. I think when I did get into them, they'd not long split up. I know that they, I'd seen them in magazines. I've seen them in Kerrang a couple of times. I saw a few gig reviews. I saw an interview. I think it was. There was a tour going on and there was like 2 pages, and one was with Luke and one was with a singer of another band, and I saw a gig being reviewed like I mentioned, and I saw that they had opened for Seven Dust at the LA2. So I'd sort of seen them about but hadn't heard them, and I was at a metal night in a club. As you know with these metal nights, if you ever go to these clubs, is they sort of play slightly less obvious and more heavier stuff at the beginning of the night, and then as the night goes on, more sort of mainstream stuff gets played. And this was quite late into the night, and a mate of mine was dancing. There was only a few people on the sort of floor to this song that was playing, and it was fucking awesome. And it was that perfect mix of heaviness, but it had really good groove to it. So I say my mate, it's Luke, who I do Maidencast with, and I was like, who's this? He went, oh, it's Pulkas. Then it clicks. So the next day I was in college and Luke come along, and out of his pocket he lent me his copy, and yeah, took it home, played it, and a couple of weeks later I managed to track it down on HMV and bought my own copy, and I've had it ever since. Yeah, this is nearly 20 years old, this CD. The one I'm holding in my hand anyway, the actual album, a bit older. So, I don't know how true this is, but apparently like, there was this thing going around this time I was in college, so I just started forming bands. And the big thing was to get signed. And there was this legend about Pulkas. I hope it's true, but yeah, they got signed after just 10 gigs. And I remember thinking, well, there's no mystery there if that's true. But I heard they'd split up because of the record label Earache, and I was talking to funny enough, Lab Rat, who I'll be covering in this series at some point as well. I didn't quite get them at the begin with, but their albums aged wonderfully. But I was at a gig. I was watching Napalm Death, and they were supported by The Great Deceiver, which was Thomas from At the Gates' new band at the time. And I got talking to Rob, the singer of Lab Rat. Now, their album had just dropped, and he'd left the band literally as the album was released, and he was telling me all sorts of stuff. And they basically said, yeah, basically Pulkas and Iron Monkey, another band I'll be covering, they basically just had to like split up because of problems with earache. And I know Napalm Death had that album out, Music of the Enemies of the Music Business. Fuck knows what went on, I don't know, do I? But they had reformed, or sort of started again under a band named IMI. I remember seeing like a little interviewy bit for them, but never heard of anything. And there was always talk now and then of them reforming. I don't know how true any of that was, but it'd have been great if they had. And yeah, there was also talk of Luke, again, he'd seen Pulkas opening for Seven Dust, and he said that night he was like basically pissing me off, really, going, I saw him live. And he said, like, yeah, that night they played a couple of new songs. He was like, yeah. And apparently they, again, this is all just rumours and things. But there was a second album, and it's been unearthed. Maybe it was just a demo, who knows. But there is a couple of new songs. I had a look around on YouTube, seen some awesome live footage of the band, and there's a couple of demo tracks floating around. So yeah, there was definitely a new album at least in the works. And yeah, I'd love to know what happens. But yeah, this album has aged wonderfully, and it's a classic. It's just absolutely phenomenal, totally unique. No one sounds like Pulkas, and Pulkas don't sound like anyone. Of course, there's little hints, a bit of helmet there, maybe a bit of prong, some tool elements. They do get labelled as nu metal. I don't know how happy they are about that. I don't know one nu metal band. This is a funny thing about nu metal. No one in nu metal was happy with that label. That's always really funny. No other genre is like that. No one looks to make. No one there is going like, let's make a good nu metal album. Like, people want to make a thrash classic, or I want to make a typical stylized death metal album. No one wants to make a nu metal album. There was this curse that people got labelled with, but whether they are or not, they are. I think they are very a product of the 90s, but that's in the best possible way. I think 90s gets a lot of unnecessary jip. I think that was a really creative time for metal. So there's a new project though as well, which I'll get into. I'll get into that in the end. Actually, let's get into the album. So opening with Loaded, it starts with this awesome bass line, and this lovely clean guitar, and it just, the song just builds up. And then you got Luke Lewis. I think let's have a quick look. Let's go for the booklet actually quickly. So you got lyrics with bits screwed out and only a couple of lines here and there. That was a cool thing to do at the time. Some cool live shots. And we've got, yeah, Luke Lloyd. I was going to say Luke Lewis then. Don't know where. Oh, because Rob Lewis is on drums. That's where I got confused. Yeah, Luke Lloyd on vocals, Martin Bourne on guitar, Jules McBride on bass, and Rob Lewis on drums. Who produced? Oh, Colin Richardson. Right, that explains a lot. That's why it sounds fucking good. All four members on this album are absolutely phenomenal. Luke's vocals are fucking brilliant. Martin's guitars riffs are just fucking dark and just groovy, and you just can't help but react to them. Jules McBride's got this real nasty, punky bass, and seeing him live in that footage, he's got that like sort of low down, you know, he's got that sort of loose, sort of punky, just that punk bass player presence, you know. He's got his hair all up and he's got a Neurosis t-shirt, looks fucking badass, as they say. And Rob Lewis as well on drums. All four members gave a phenomenal performance here. And so yeah, Luke starts off with clean vocals. No matter which way I look, no matter which way I choose, I'm destined to lose. And just as the song kicks up, and then it finally kicks in, Luke gives this fucking scream. He hits these high pitches and just holds them. And yeah, so then it just kicks in and it's heavy, and then it goes quiet, like it goes into like this mid-paced quiet, and he's doing these clean vocals again, and then yeah, when it comes into that chorus, it just is this odd type. It's like a really fast riffing, but kind of slow drums, and then yeah, when it kicks in, I say the sucker's always loaded, loaded, loaded up on me. It's fucking awesome. And I guess it would be like their flagship song. I think it was one they closed with regularly. Excuse me one sec. And then we kick into Rubber Room, which was the song I heard to begin with that was playing in the club that time. Rubber Room is just a phenomenal song. To this day, it still gets me going. It still makes me want to fucking, I play it in the living room now, I just want to pit. And I played it today whilst working out, and it's still got that energy. And again, nice mid-paced, good groove. And that bass just leading during the verses with the guitar just doing a nice little lick whilst Luke, you know, sort of goes through the verse again and then just kicks into Rubber Room, if you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And yeah, just fucking awesome groove, great atmosphere. And just when it kicks, it sort of comes to the climax of the song, and then it just sort of builds up and then just and it just goes into this real sort of punky vibe, and then sort of builds up again, and then Luke again gives out this just fucking screams, and it's piercing. I'll tell you what it reminds me. I can imagine the band just fucking going crazy on stage. And I could see like a, you know, the way like Mike Patton used to just throw himself around the stage. It's a perfect song for that to, for them to do that to. And yeah, just a phenomenal song that just works to this day. It's just got that energy and that anger. It captures this paranoia and frustration. And then we've got a little interlude, Drown, where it's just sort of clean guitar played through like an effects pedal, and it's only like a minute long, and it's just like a clean vocal, and then that leads into Hippie Fascist, which is like starts off like a kind of like a tribal beat, kind of, but not I don't want to compare them to Toll, because when you say Toll, you're going to think, oh, it's all proggy and it's all odd timed. No, think early Toll. Think like the EP, Opiate. You know, when they were a bit more straightforward, and yeah, so it sort of goes, and then he just goes, yeah, boom, and then, and it again, this awesome groove just kicks in, and this song, it's just so atmospheric, and it's just got this real darkness to it, and it just, and when it builds up, rather than going heavy like Loaded or Rubber Room does, the clean vocals carry on, and you again, it's just a really eerie song, and yeah, it's just these four songs already together, it just paints this picture. It's all got this running thread going through it, but all the songs are different, but it all feels connected as an album. And then Betrayal, another great song, again opens nice and big, and then just stops. It goes, I had you nowhere, and it kind of has this start and stop thing going on, and yeah, again, another great song. And then it carries on with Control, again, just keeps things nice the way they are. This Is It, it's got like a punky vibe to it as well. And then the last couple of songs carry on the way they are, and then Close to the Enemy, it's just a phenomenal closer to the album, and I can imagine them if they did this live, there would be a great song to close the set with, because I could picture you could kind of stretch things out a little bit at the end, which when you hear the song, there's a few bits where he goes quiet and sort of repeats the vocals, and I can imagine that being stretched out a little bit. If I was in the band, like if it was me, I would probably have opened with Betrayal. That was seems like a common opener. But if I was in a headline show, like if I was in like the venue's full and they're here to see us, I would have, you know, the lights are down and the thing, and I would have come on. I would have opened up with Drown, and then, because that would have built up the tension, it would have built up like the atmosphere, and then kicked into Hippie Fascist, and then where that anticipation comes up, when that, again, that drum build up, and then boom, and it kicks in. I reckon that would have kicked off a pit awesomely. So yeah, that's Pulkas. It's I'd love to have known, you know, again, by the time I come along they'd already been and gone, but yeah, I think there's still a good, I saw a Facebook page up for them. It's getting a lot of interaction, and it looks like there's a good like good little cult following for this band, and who knows where it'll lead to. Obviously, no one's gigging at the moment, and I don't know if. Yeah, who knows? Never say never. But yeah, I would love to see something happen with this band again. I'd love to hear these songs done live. I'd love to see this reissued. You know, some fucking photos or some liner notes or whatever. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal album. It's just, again, it take elements of Helmet, some prong, maybe some post-punks, maybe verging on industrial, but not quite. But it's not like an electronic sense, the way Prong did. They kind of had that sort of post-punky, killing jokiness to the heaviness. And they weren't scared to experiment and throw different elements in. And whatever they did add in, it just became heavier for it. So though the band were melodic, there was a lot of clean vocals in. It was all very, it just added to the intensity. And again, Luke delivers a really emotionally honest vocal performance. His vocals are just, he's singing clean 1 minute, screaming his arse off the next, and it's all conducive. It all just flows wonderfully. The riffs are phenomenal. The clean guitar work as well. It's all dark and atmospheric. Like I say, got a real nice thick bass, and the drums are also great. Yeah, everything about it is just phenomenal. And yeah, they should have got a lot bigger. They should have been massive. But going through this series, you'll find that's pretty much how it goes for British bands around this time. They all sort of got onto that first level, but hardly any of them managed to go over. But there you go. Not a lot of justice in the music industry. But yeah, anyway, good news. The drummer and bass player, Rob Lewis and Jules McBride, have come together, and they've got a new project. So it looks like Rob Lewis, I'm just looking on the band page here, and what I'll do, if you know the band, you know the band, but if you are new to the band, and that's mainly who this is for, but yeah, I'll put the video to Loaded, and then you can take it from there. But I'll also put in the Bandcamp link to Rob and Jules' new project. I'm just looking on it here. Yeah, Rob, who was the drummer in Pulkas, is doing vocals, guitars and drums, and Jules is back doing the bass, and they've got a 4-track EP which came out a couple of weeks ago, and this is Rustorm. So yeah, Rustorm, all one word, Rustorm. And they've got a EP out called Death Valley Speed Trap, and it's not a million miles from Pulkas. It's different, but you get the idea. You can you see that it's two ex-Pulkas members doing this, so it's just familiar enough, but just different enough for a new project. So yeah, it's good stuff. And I have been speaking to the band actually. I've been meaning to get them on and do an interview with them, but I've not got around to it yet, and that's down to me being just not enough hours in the day at the moment. So but I will be following that up soon. And if you want to see that, give us a comment and, you know, remind me, get me on it. So yeah, Pulkas, Greed. If you've not heard it, go out and get it. This is a phenomenal album. That's it. Take care, folks.